Welcome back to the Tool Crib. Today we're going to be talking about EDC, and I've had a lot of people that have asked me what I actually EDC. And the fact of the matter is my EDC really kind of evolves depending on what I'm doing. So I have one particular EDC that is kind of away from work, and then I have a couple of different work EDCs, and it really depends on what I'm doing at work as to what I'll carry with me, because it's really not feasible to carry everything that I particularly own, especially. It's choosing the right things that work for you. So there's a couple of constants with my EDC though. One of those is going to be my Leatherman Surge. I always carry a flashlight of some kind, and that kind of changes depending on what I'm doing. I always have a fire source. In my case, it's a Zippo. I always have a writing instrument. Now, I'll add to that and subtract to that depending, again, what I'm doing. So a couple of things. First of all, one thing that is always with me is my iPhone. I use Apple products, and that's what I'm recording with right now. Now, usually I use a Defender case, and I usually carry a clip case. I know I'm old, and that's not the in and hip thing to do, but I hate having phones in my pocket. I don't know why. I'd rather have it quick access on a clip to be able to get to it very, very quickly. So my wife hounds me all the time about it. I'm just not going to change. I like the fact that it's on a clip case. Next thing that I carry is an Apple Watch, and I've got the latest Series 6. Apple Watches are actually very useful to me for a number of different reasons. First of all, I like having access to be able to look at the weather at a glance. Obviously, to be able to look at the time at a glance, to be able to receive and respond to messages, without having to pull my phone out. So there's a lot of times where the Apple Watch shortcuts a lot of different things for me that makes my day a lot more productive. So the Apple Watch Series 6 is one of the most important things that I own. Now, recently I switched wallets. Well, you could say downgraded or upgraded, either one, but I switched out of an old Fossil bifold into a House of Jack slim card wallet. And this is one of the biggest improvements to my EDC. Being able to get a slim wallet really has cut down on the weight of my EDC, and it's a lot more comfortable to carry. I find that by having a slimmer wallet, it breaks me of the habit of always constantly trying to stick things in my wallet, and that's actually a very, very good thing. Now, the next thing that I carry is going to be my Leatherman Surge, and mine is pretty heavily modified. You guys watch my channel, you'll know that I have a lot of different things on here. So I integrated a package opener into this one that goes into the T-shank. I also carry the file, and I carry a Linux saw that goes along with it. I've upgraded some of the stuff on the inside. I modified a wire cutter in here as well as a chisel, and then I had to reprofile some of the other tools in order to make all that work. And then my screwdrivers on the other side. So the Leatherman Surge is my absolute go-to multi-tool. Now, because I review a lot of multi-tools, a lot of times when I'm away from work, I'll switch out the Surge just because I'm testing out other stuff. But as a mainstay, this Leatherman Surge is always with me. And then I carry the extension, and I use a Wicek double-ended bit. I've reviewed the double-ended bit kit, and carrying all those bits for me is really not very feasible. And actually, the only one that I truly use on a regular basis is the number 2 Phillips. So I carry the combination number 1, number 2 Phillips in my extension. And so I don't really feel the need to carry all those extra bits. Now, for some people, they'll want a little bit more extra capability. I find that I get along just fine with the regular Leatherman Surge, well, actually my modified one, as well as the Linux saw blade, the extension, and the Wicek double-ended bit. I find that it works very, very well for me. Now, I always have a fire source, and when I'm at work, I'll show you my work EDC too. But away from work, I carry the Zippo. Now, my current light source for away from work is going to be the Olight Warrior Mini. I've reviewed this one. This is actually one of the first Olights that I reviewed. I found this flashlight to be exceptionally good. I love all the features with this one. I love the way it carries. It's just a great all-around flashlight. The next thing that I have is a writing pen. Now, I've been actually looking at different writing pens to try to find something maybe a little bit more sleek, a little bit more elegant away from work. Right now I'm carrying the Zebra, I believe it's the F701. This is the all metal version of their pen. They used to make it with a little plastic insert. Now it's all metal. So it's actually a pretty good writing pen. My truck keys. Now, a couple things that I carry on my keys that are going to be probably switching them out here pretty soon, and I'll explain why. So I have a titanium toothpick case that I carry with me because I like having toothpicks with me. And then I also carry the Pocket Tweeze 2 tweezers. The reason I like these is because those come down to a very, very sharp point. I don't use these often, but when I need them, I'm exceptionally glad that they're with me. So, you know, I've currently got a new Victorinox knife that's being built for me, a special 3-layer knife that will probably eliminate the toothpick. I probably won't get rid of the Pocket Tweeze 2s because I actually like those quite a bit, even though my new knife will have tweezers with it. Now, I kind of switch out and change with various different pocket knives. Right now, I've been carrying the Victorinox Pioneer X Alox. This is one of my favorite Victorinox knives, and I especially like it for the larger scissors that come with the Victorinox, even though it's a little bit redundant with my Leatherman Surge because they have a very good pair of scissors. Basically, most of the stuff, actually all the stuff on here, with the exception of the scissors, because the scissors on here are really, really good. In fact, they're probably a little bit better than the Surge, though the Surge does compete well with Victorinox scissors. Everything else is pretty redundant. I do like having a backup blade on me at times, though. A blade that's a little bit cleaner than what I'm going to be using because I use the Surge at both work and away from work. It's just nice to have a little cleaner backup blade. So this is my away from work EDC. Now let me show you what I carry at work. Now my work EDC is a little bit more involved because, well, actually I do a lot of stuff. So, but there are some mainstay stuff. So first of all, the Apple Watch is something that's going to stay with me constantly, whether or not I'm working or not. Also my wallet and my writing pen. So these are things that, as well as my phone, these are things that stay with me constantly regardless. So let's look at some of the other stuff. So first of all, I always carry my Leatherman Surge, but depending on what I'm doing, sometimes I will switch that out. So I have a custom case that I have that sometimes I'll switch the Surge into this one, and that's because sometimes I need to carry the Leatherman Crunch, depending on what I'm doing at work. So this one kind of stays in my console, in the console of my truck, in the event that I need to switch out. But most times I'll just carry the regular Leatherman Surge in the pouch. So the next thing well, my map's shifting on me a little bit. The next thing that I carry is I switch out the Olight Warrior Mini for the M2R Pro Warrior. This is just a better flashlight for work. This is one that I've just recently upgraded to. I used to carry the Phoenix PD36R, but I love these Olight, the user interface to them. And so this is going to be switched in for my work EDC for quite a little while, I would imagine, unless I find something that I like a little bit better. But for now, it's going to be the M2R Pro Warrior. Now, the couple of other things that I carry with me. First of all, at work, I'll carry the Cobra EAB Light. It's always good to have a utility knife with you. And so at work, this is kind of a constant thing that I need. And so I definitely will carry this most every day. Not every day, but 90, probably 80% of the time, I'll carry the Cobra EAB Light. The next thing that I carry at work is I had an O-ring, or an O-ring. Is it O-ring? It's O-ring, I'm sorry. I had an O-ring mechanical pencil, and I use a 2mm pencil for work, but I recently switched over to this Staedtler, and I actually like this quite a bit. So the reason that we have to have a 2mm is because just like a 0.9 is just not strong enough when you're marking on stuff at work. So I usually have a ballpoint pen, and I actually forgot one. The other thing that I carry with me is a Silver Streak. So these two markers will mark probably 90% of what I need to. Now I do have other markers, including soapstone and just Milwaukee Markall, or not a Markall, I'm sorry, the Milwaukee, what do they call it? The Inkzol. So I use different things for marking on stuff. So when we're fabricating different things, you just need different markers for different stuff. These are the two that stay with me constantly while I'm at work, as well as my pen. And sometimes I'll switch in some other stuff depending on what we're marking on. So those are kind of two mainstay tools. The next thing I'm gonna do is my work keys change, so I lose the ability to carry the toothpick holder and those tweezers. Though I do keep them in my truck, in my work truck, I switch out keys is basically what I do. So those will stay with me as well. Now, one of the things that I recently upgraded to, well, actually started carrying, is going to be the Knipex 8603 180s. These are the pliers wrenches. These I've used for a long time. The problem was I just didn't have a good feasible way to carry them. Well, I found a leather maker a leathersmith in Poland, Anna and Merrick, and I think it's Wicek. I'm going to put all the links down below for this, but they make cases that are both for the pliers wrenches and for the Cobra pliers in sizes from the 125s, the 150s, and the 180s. And I use the 180s more at work. They're just more capable. And so being able to get this case has made a huge difference when you're talking about carrying this at work. And this is something that has been an exceptionally good case. I'm so glad that I finally got a case for these. And if you like carrying Knipex, either the Cobras or the pliers wrenches, you should really check them out. I'll leave a link to their Etsy store in the description box below. But they make some really nice quality products. And actually, this is the second version that they sent me. The first version that they sent me was actually, he didn't have the pliers wrenches, so the mold for it was actually out of the Cobras. And so he sent me the second version. So you can carry Cobras or the pliers wrenches. So I kind of like having the fact that they have both. So he sent me the upgraded version. Now these were built with the pliers wrenches mold, so they actually fit just a little bit better. They'll still fit in here, but they fit just a little bit better in the customized case for it. So this is one thing that I'm very glad that I have upgraded in my work EDC. The next thing that I carry, or the last thing that I carry on a daily basis, is going to be a tape measure. And usually I'll stick with a smaller tape measure like the Stanley 16-footer. Now I'm constantly on the lookout for other tape measures. I do a lot of fabricating on site. So having a good quality tape measure as well as those marking instruments is a hugely beneficial thing to me. So if I run across a tape measure that I like a little better than this, I'll probably switch out. So this is one of those things that will evolve depending on if I find something a little bit better. Now let me show you some of the things that I supplement in at work as well. So I was talking about some of the writing instruments that I carry. Now honestly, a lot of times I'll drop off the pen, and these are really the only two that I'll carry with me constantly. But in my truck or close by, depending on what location I happen to be on, I actually have several different other writing instruments that are close by. The first one is the Markall Pro. This allows you to use, and I have different leads for this as well. They have yellow and red and the silver streak, as well as the graphite as well. So depending on what you're marking on, these are great for layout and the type of stuff that I do. I mentioned before about the Milwaukee Inkzol that I carry with me as well. These are great because they mark a little bit better than what you will find with your standard marker, because they'll mark through just grimy stuff a lot better than what your standard marker will do. And then a soapstone as well. Now I don't carry these with me at all times. I'll just kind of supplement them in as I need them, but for the most part they're going to stay in the truck. One thing that I forgot to mention is I switch out my Zippo lighter. So the Zippo is for my regular carry. At work, though, I'll switch in for a big, just because it's a little bit more reliable. You don't have to worry about fluid running out on you in the middle of the day. And I use a lighter a lot, depending on what we're doing. So a lot of times, you know, just cutting string line and being able to fray it off. And if you cut it with a knife or scissors, then it ends up fraying on the end. But if you burn it in half, then it seals it better. Same thing with rope. So we work a lot with rope, and so being able to cut a rope and then seal the end of it so it doesn't unravel on you is kind of important. So having a lighter that's a little bit more dependable is something that I'll switch in, or I carry instead of my Zippo. But I like the Zippo as a regular carry, because I have lighter fluid in my truck as well, so I don't really have to worry about if I run out of lighter fluid. The next thing that I'll supplement in on occasion, depending on what I'm doing, and these items will all stay in my truck close by, and I'll just grab them as I need them. So sometimes I'll carry them, sometimes I won't. That's going to be the Leatherman Squirt ES4. I like the ES4 because it's great for doing a little electrical work, depending on what particular task I happen to be doing that day. These are also great for, you know, working on the trailers. We had wiring that goes bad on the trailers, stuff like that. The next thing I carry or keep in the truck is going to be the Leatherman Raptors. These things will cut through just about anything you need to. These shears are fantastic, and I tried to carry them for a while, but with all the other stuff that I carry, it's just really not feasible. Things just get too heavy, and so I like having them accessible. I just don't carry them with me anymore. The last thing that I carry with me, and this is if I'm doing job estimates and stuff, then I'll switch in for my Hilti. This is the PDS. This is electronic measure. It has a range up to 200 feet. And so when you're doing job estimates, you really don't have to get super accurate. But this is one nice tool to have around for doing just generalized measurements. So my EDC really evolves at work a lot depending on what I'm doing. Now, there are a couple of changes that I'll make to my EDC, my regular EDC as well. So first of all, depending on where you're going or what I'm doing, sometimes I'll switch in the Leatherman into the Ainsworth case just to be a little bit more classy, if you will. But I have a hard time leaving the Leatherman Surge behind. There are times when I'll completely drop it off and I'll get into something, one of my juice models, especially the KF4. I like that one a lot. But I always have a multi-tool with me of some kind. More often than not, before I'll do that, I'll switch the Leatherman Surge into the Ainsworth case and carry it like that. Now, I think I mentioned before, I've got a custom knife that's being made for me that is really going to be above and beyond what the Pioneer X is. And it's going to be a great 3-layer knife that's going to really change my EDC a little bit, actually. Now, the last thing that I've been considering, and that's because of the usefulness of the pliers wrenches, I've actually been considering carrying one of the smaller versions as part of my regular EDC. I haven't gone that far yet to decide whether or not it's worth it, because usually, you know, I have tools all over the place. I have a trailer full of tools. I have tools at home. I have quite a few tools in my truck, as a matter of fact. So I usually have quick access to a lot of different tools, but having one of these on you, especially for the types of things I do, and for a lot of people that might switch out for the Cobra series of pliers, I find them so incredibly useful that I've actually been considering carrying the 150s, getting a different case from Anna and Merrick to carry the 150s, because their leather cases are just fine, and you can get them in several different colors as well. I could get one that could match my Ainsworth case, or very closely match my Ainsworth case as well. So it's something that I've considered doing. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it. I might in the future. For me, the 125s, because I have a larger hand, they're really a little bit too small for me. I like the feel of the 150s a little bit better than I do the smaller version. But for work, definitely the 180s are the way to go for me. So this is what I carry on a normal daily basis. And again, a lot of my work EDC will switch out, but there are some constants to that. The Leatherman Surge, a flashlight, a lighter, My Apple Watch and my phone are mainstays. They stay with me no matter what, and usually a writing instrument, usually a pen, will stay with me at all times. And depending on what I'm doing or where I'm going, that will switch. So I have a lot of different options, especially since I own a lot of different multi-tools and EDC items. I have a variety of stuff that I can switch into. But these are the things that I like to carry and some of the things that I've been thinking about for the future. My name is Ben. You've been watching the Texas Tool Crib. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.